Like many little girls, growing up, I loved playing house. As I was the oldest sister and the oldest girl in the neighborhood, I was always mom, and I loved it. I remember that I would actually teach my sister and my next door neighbor what I had learned in school that week. And while they did their homework, I would wash the dishes. Of course, this was all pretend because it often took place in my neighbor's bedroom, and she clearly didn't have a kitchen. But I loved it all the same. I couldn't wait to grow up and have my own house. While admittedly, some of the charm of being a homemaker wore off as I grew older, there are still many aspects about it that I love. However, unlike my elementary school self, hand-washing dishes is not one of them. C.S. Lewis says, "The homemaker has the ultimate career. All other careers exist for one purpose only, and that is to support the ultimate career." A homemaker is one whose job is to take care of the home. That includes, but is not limited to, cooking, cleaning, caring for children or other dependents, gardening, budgeting, yard work, and more. The work is vital, but it often goes unseen and unpaid. And it's a dream job, and I couldn't agree with Lewis more. After the birth of my second-born, this desire to be a full-time homemaker only grew. The Lord blessed me with a work-from-home job after we had our firstborn, but the workload, management of 2 children, and homemaking became more than I could bear, and the Lord took that job away. But, like many families, we can't live on one income in this economy. But we are making it as a low-income family. The first step into homemaking as a low-income family is to build your mindset. We bought our first house in May of 2021. I can't believe it's been almost 4 years in this house. We didn't have a lot of money back then either, but we bought our house very strategically, knowing that it would be a sacrifice. We decided to willingly trade creature comforts for a lower mortgage to be able to pay down debt. Our house isn't nice. It's not something you would see featured on Instagram or TikTok, but it is a home. It's a roof over our heads, and it's a place of beautiful memories. If you want to stay home full time, you'll have to make the decision together as a family. I praise the Lord because my husband has never questioned the value of me being a stay-at-home mom and homemaker, and he regularly works at least 45-hour weeks for me to do that. However, I know this isn't the case for everyone. James 1:5-8 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways." James, the brother of Jesus, instructs us to pray boldly because God is a generous and loving God. But don't fall into temptation of the prosperity gospel. Not all who pray for money will be rich. Prayer isn't a scratch-off ticket. Pray that the Lord would provide for your needs, like it says in Matthew 6:11. Pray that the Lord would give you a love for the things that He loves, and pray that the Lord would give you contentment in a season that you're in. But pray boldly. I watched a YouTube video that I'm tagging in the description back in November of 2024, when I was first launching my freelance business, and I remember crying to my husband because it felt like we were never going to make it. But here we are, 6 months later, and we're surviving. Praise the Lord. My second tip in homemaking as a low-income family is to build your budget. Building a budget is so important and unfortunately not something that many know how to do. I have a very vivid memory of sitting down with some of our friends within the first year of our marriage because neither my husband or I knew how to budget. And you know what? I was so surprised at how much money we actually had. Once you name every penny of your income, it's so much easier to stretch it and make it last. So how do you even build a budget? First, start with your monthly income and write down that total. Then, fill in your fixed needs and expenses. Write down all of the due dates. Write down the current balance of any debt, any minimum payments, and if possible, make a goal to make more than the minimum payment. Also, look up your APR for any debt. What is the interest rate? How much is it going to accrue over time? Next, calculate the total of your fixed bills and expenses. Then, fill in all of your spending and subscriptions into a separate column. Find which areas you're willing to cut back on. This is going to be different for everyone. For me, it was to get rid of my Adobe subscription. While it does make my life a little bit more challenging not having Lightroom across all my devices as it syncs. I can't airdrop from things to things, and that's something I was willing to give up on. Go through your bank statements and see how much you're paying for subscriptions and what they all are. You'll be surprised at how many things lurk in the corners that you aren't aware of. Next, calculate the total of your spending on subscriptions. What does it look like? How much are you spending on things? Can you tweak other areas? Can you increase your grocery budget and decrease your eating out budget? Then take your monthly income and subtract your fixed bills and expenses and your spending and subscription. Whatever total is left over can go into savings. Then I suggest taking your budget and putting it into a budgeting app. Make a shared email account between you and your husband if you don't already have one. Use the same login information so it syncs across all of your devices. Finally, set a reminder in your phone to input any and all expenses before you go to bed each night. I have a reminder that goes off at 8:30 p.m. every night. I wish I was better at remembering to obey it. Finally, when the month is over, go back and write what you actually spent in each category. This will help you build a more accurate budget for the next month. And to make it easier, I've included a free budget digital download that you can find in my blog. It's linked in the description box below.